For 2 cups of powder costing less than $2, dissolved in water, the temperature drops to 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Not slowly, not gradually, in seconds. No electricity. No compressor, no invoice from your utility company. That is the opening fact. And that fact alone should make a $130 billion industry very uncomfortable. Welcome to the buried blueprint. If you believe corporations have systematically buried inconvenient solutions to protect revenue streams, subscribe right now and hit the bell. Because what you are about to hear is not a theory. It is documented chemistry, documented history, and a documented lobbying effort designed to keep you dependent on the grid every single summer of your life. Let us go back. Not decades, nearly a century. Before Freon, before the compressor, before the electrical grid reached the trenches, the field hospitals, or the desert outposts, military medics had a problem that looked exactly like yours. They had wounded soldiers overheating in 100-degree environments. They had medicines that needed refrigeration. They had 0 watts of electricity to work with and 0 time to wait for a solution. What they used was a compound that any farmer in the early 20th century could name without hesitation: ammonium nitrate, urea, agricultural powder, sold in bulk for soil nitrogen. But the medics had discovered something that the chemistry textbooks had documented clearly since the 1800s. When you dissolve either of these compounds in water, the dissolution process is intensely endothermic. The crystal lattice breaks apart, and to do so, it aggressively draws thermal energy from everything around it: the water, the air, the container. The surrounding environment surrenders its heat to fuel the chemical reaction. The result was instant cold packs, ice baths for heat stroke victims in the middle of nowhere. Refrigerated medication storage without a single moving part, without a single watt, and without a single cent paid to a utility company. This was not folk medicine. This was applied thermodynamics used by the United States military in active combat conditions. The compound worked. The physics was unambiguous. The solution was repeatable, cheap, and required no infrastructure, which is precisely why it disappeared from your awareness. The HVAC industry, as we know it today, was consolidated through the mid-20th century. The Freon-based compressor system became the dominant commercial product. And in that consolidation, something important happened. The economics of the industry became entirely dependent on a specific business model. Not one-time solutions, repeat dependency. A 3,000-watt compressor running 8 to 12 hours per day through a southern summer adds $200 to $300 to your monthly utility bill. The compressor itself costs between $500 and $5,000 depending on the unit. When it breaks, and statistically it will break, the repair bill averages between $300 and $2,000. Every component in that system, the refrigerant, the filters, the thermostat, the condensate drain, generates repeat revenue. The grid generates revenue every hour the unit runs. The installer generates revenue. The warranty company generates revenue. Now compare that business model to 2 cups of powder that costs $2 at an agricultural supply store, dissolves in tap water, and produces the same fundamental thermal effect that military medics were using before your grandfather was born. You cannot patent an endothermic reaction. You cannot charge a monthly subscription for thermodynamics. You cannot schedule a maintenance visit for a bag of powder and a metal coffee can. And so, in multiple states, ammonium nitrate became the target of lobbying efforts framed around public safety. The restrictions are real. The stated justifications reference explosive hazard thresholds far beyond what any household would ever use or need. A standard cooling application requires roughly 2 cups of powder in a sealed container. The threshold for any meaningful hazard is many orders of magnitude higher. But the restrictions achieved their commercial objective. The product became harder to find in consumer retail. The knowledge of its cooling application drifted further from public consciousness, and the HVAC industry continued adding zeros to your summer utility statement. Before I give you the exact method, I need to stop here for a moment. This is one of dozens of solutions that have been commercially suppressed, forgotten, or deliberately complicated to protect industrial revenue. The complete buried blueprint vault in the description below contains a full archive of documented hacks across energy, construction, water, and food preservation. These are not theories. These are applied chemistry and engineering solutions with documented historical use cases. Check the link in the description, but stay right here, because how you build this system and where you position it changes everything about its effectiveness. Here is the science, precisely stated. When ammonium nitrate or urea dissolves in water, the process requires energy to break the ionic bonds in the crystalline structure. That energy is drawn directly from the thermal environment, meaning the surrounding water and air. The enthalpy of dissolution for ammonium nitrate is approximately plus 26 kilojoules per mole. This is not a surface-level cooling effect. The reaction does not merely feel cold. It physically and measurably removes heat energy from the liquid and the surrounding air at a thermodynamic level, dropping water temperatures to near freezing within 30 to 60 seconds of full dissolution. The commercial ice pack you pay $4 for at the pharmacy uses this exact reaction. The difference is that the pharmaceutical industry repackaged it, trademarked the application, and charged you a markup of roughly 3,000% per cooling event. The powder is the same. The reaction is identical. The only thing that changed is who controlled the distribution and who captured the margin. Here is exactly what you need and exactly what you do. Go to an agricultural supply store or farm co-op. Look for 3400 granular fertilizer. That designation means 34% nitrogen, 0 phosphorus, 0 potassium. This is pure ammonium nitrate in granular form. It typically costs between $8 and $15 for a 50-pound bag. You will use less than 1 pound per application. Alternatively, urea fertilizer labeled 4600 works on the same principle and is widely available in states where ammonium nitrate access is restricted. Do not buy slow-release formulations. Do not buy blended fertilizers with additional compounds. You want the pure granular nitrogen source, nothing added. Now the build. Take a standard metal coffee can, the large 48-ounce size, or a heavy-duty Ziploc freezer bag rated for storage. Fill it approximately 2/3 with cold tap water. Add 2 level cups of the granular powder. If you are using a metal can, seal the plastic lid tightly. If using a bag, remove the air and double seal it. You will feel the temperature drop begin within 30 seconds. Within 2 minutes, the exterior surface will be at or near freezing. The container will remain cold for approximately 2 to 4 hours depending on ambient temperature and air circulation. Position the container directly behind a standard $15 box fan or desk fan. The fan draws room air across the freezing metal surface and blows it into the space. This is evaporative and conductive cooling without the compressor, without the refrigerant cycle, and without adding a single watt to your power consumption beyond the fan itself, which typically draws between 20 and 100 watts compared to the 3,000 watts your central AC compressor pulls the moment it kicks on. Important safety notes. Do not mix the powder with any other chemical compound. Do not use this in an enclosed container that cannot release minor gas buildup. Keep the solution away from children and pets, and wash hands thoroughly after handling. Store unused powder in a sealed, dry container away from any heat source or open flame. Let us close with the number that matters. Your summer electricity bill is $300 a month. The contractor who last serviced your AC unit charged you $200 for a visit that lasted 45 minutes. The unit itself cost $3,000 to install. The warranty you were sold costs $15 a month and covers almost nothing in the fine print. The powder in the coffee can behind the fan costs $2. The physics has not changed since the 1800s. The chemistry has not changed since military medics were using it in field conditions without a power outlet in sight. The only thing that changed was who was allowed to tell you about it and under what conditions you were allowed to buy it. The HVAC industry and the utility companies that depend on peak summer consumption are not your adversaries because they are evil. They are your adversaries because their revenue model requires that you remain ignorant of alternatives. Every summer you spend $300 on electricity is a summer their model is working exactly as designed. Subscribe, share this video. The knowledge only has value if it spreads faster than the lobbying effort that buried it. The next blueprint opens soon, and what is inside is heavier than this one.